Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Hari Om everyone. Before we begin our today's satsang, we will take some time to collectively pray to Bhagavan to give us the strength to go through these tough times. I know the situation in India right now is very precarious, and a lot of them have been affected by this pandemic. And we as sadhakas should derive strength from our spiritual study and do whatever best we can to help. It is said in any tough situation, in any difficult situation, there are two things that we should always remember. First one is grace of Bhagavan. Even when the situation seems tough, the one who is really taking care of it is Bhagavan alone. So Sankat can be very big, but the one who has the ability to do Sankat motion is our Hanumanji. And he has shown this even when Lakshmanji was down in the war. The one who brought Sanjeevan Parvat for Lakshmanji was our Hanumanji. That grace of Bhagavan we should always remember, and we as sadhakas should have firm conviction in this understanding. The second aspect of facing any challenging situation is our own self-effort. Keeping this in mind, making sure that we extend our helping hand in whatever way we are capable of. It could be even a very patient conversation that we can have, a very reassuring conversation that we can have with somebody who is going through this, and just giving them this assurance on Bhagavan's strength that even this will pass away. Something whatever Hanumanji did to Mother Sita. When she was sitting in Ashok Vatika and lamenting, why is this happening to me? What wrong have I done that so much of sorrow has to come to me? Hanumanji kapi kare keenha vichara. Means he thinks first, what is the best thing I can help over here? And there he gives her reassurance that Bhagavan has not forgotten you. He is always remembering, and he will come very soon. So invoking Bhagavan's grace and putting forth our effort to serve in whatever possible way we can, together we will pray to Bhagavan. So with lot of Shraddha, let us chant Sankat Mochan Stotram and do some Nama Sankirtanam after that. बाल समय रवि भक्षलियो तब तीनहु लोक भयो अंधियारो ताहि सो त्रास भयो जग को यह संकट काहू सो जात न टारो देवन आनी करी बिनती तब छाड़ी दियो रवि कष्ट निवारो को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो बाली की त्रास कपि सब से गिरी जात महाप्रभु पंथ निहारो चौकी महामुनि साप दियो तब चाहिए कौन विचार विचारो कै द्विज रूप लिवाय महाप्रभु सो तुम दास के शोक निवारो को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। अंगद के संग ले न गए सिय, खोज कपि यह बैन उचारो। जीवत न बची हो हम सोजु बिना सुधि लाय यहाँ पगुधारो। तीर्थ के तट सिंधु सब तब लाय सिया सुधि प्राण उबारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। रावण त्रास दई सिय को सब राक्षसी शोक निवारो। ताहि समय हनुमान महाप्रभु जाय महारजनी चर मारो। चाहत सिय शोक सो आगी सुदय प्रभु मुद्रिका शोक निवारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। बान लाग्यो उर लक्ष्मण के तब प्राण तजे सुत रावण मारो। लै गृह वैद्य सुषेण समेत तब गिरि द्रोण सुबीर उपारो। आनि सजीवन हाथ दई तब लक्ष्मण के तुम प्राण उबारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। रावण युद्ध कियो जब नाग की फांस सब सिर। रावण युद्ध जान कियो तब नाग की फांस सब सिर डारो। श्री रघुनाथ समेत सब दल मोह भयो यह संकट भारो। आनि खगेश तब हनुमान जु बंधन काटी सूत्रास निवारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। बंधु समेत जब यही रावण लै रघुनाथ पताल सिधारो। देवी ही पूजी भली विधि सो बलि देहु सब मिली मंत्र विचारो। जाय सहाय भयो तब ही यही रावण सैन्य समेत संहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। काज किए बड़ देवन के तुम वीर महाप्रभु देखी विचारो। कौन सो संकट मोर गरीब को जो तुम सो नहीं जात है टारो। बेगी हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु जो कुछ संकट होय हमारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। को नहीं जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। लाल देह लालील से अरुधरि लाल लंगूर। वज्र देह दानव दलन जय 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 कपिसूर सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम। Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. 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 Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. बोले श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। We'll just collectively pray to Bhagavan to give us the strength. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmiham. Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om. In the last session we had seen about Pancha Koshas, and we saw how each kosha, understanding it, tuning it, thinking about it more, helps in bringing out the full potential of our personality. And when Vyavahara becomes straightforward, Vyavahara becomes of less concern, that sadhaka is able to hold on to the absolute nature. Panchakosha atitaha, that is where we have to go. So the first step to go towards that absolute knowledge, to abide in that absolute knowledge, is to make sure that these instruments are very well tuned. So we elaborately saw that portion. It is one thing to just listen about it, but it is a great joy if we can take each of these ideas, each of these concepts, and then see it for ourselves. Right? How can I blossom each of these aspects in my personality? That is what we call as sadhana. Now with this, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji had given us the logical way of establishing that I am not these panchakoshas. And this point we had concluded with in the last class, that first pratignya is made. Pratignya means a declaration, hypothesis is made, whatever is in red color over there. Tatha panchakoshadikam atma na bhavati. These panchakoshas are not atma. It is not me. Why is that? Because swasmad bhinnam madiyatvena jnatam. These panchakoshas are different from me, and I know it as mine. So whatever is known as mine has to be different from me. So this was the reason, hetu. What is a drishtanta? Example? Just like kataka kundala gruhadikam swasmad bhinnam madiyatvena jnatam. Right? That drishtanta line you see, we are coming from bottom to top. This line. Whatever is known as mine, just like a bangle, a necklace, an earring, or a house, right? Bangle, necklace are close to me, house is little farther away from me. When I say they are mine, that implies that I am not them. I am not the earring, I am not the bangle. Although I use that statement, that they are mine. House is something which is far away. Neither of it is me. So in the same way, sharira, prana, mana, buddhi, even ignorance, everything is known as mine. That itself shows I have to be different from all these things. So now, previous step was tuning panchakoshas. Now this step is transcending panchakoshas. And having transcended them, having known their mithyatva also, Jnani is able to relate with those panchakoshas as and when required. Okay, then we say it is complete knowledge. Or otherwise, what word you must have been familiar with is jnanam and vijnanam. Sometimes jnanam could be, I am not panchakoshas, panchakoshas are mithya. But then why are you so much afraid of those panchakoshas then? Right? So vijnanam is to know that because sufficient sadhana has been done, those panchakoshas are not bothering this sadhaka anymore. That sadhaka can very confidently distance himself from that panchakosha, himself meaning as Atma. Being a person, we cannot distance ourselves from panchakosha. As consciousness, I am different from these panchakoshas. Okay, so that was the conclusion over here. Now, what all things we saw? First, we studied Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, and how Atma is Vyatirikta, different from all of them. 3 avasthas we saw, that fish example, going from one bank to another, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, that also we saw. And Sakshi is witness of those 3 avasthas. I am not involved in any of those 3 avasthas. That Sakshi I am. Then we elaborately saw Panchakosha also. Now comes the last indicator of Atma, which is Satchidananda Swarupa San Atma Bhavati. Yattishtati Sa Atma. That Atman is that which is of the nature of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. If you remember, the first three were called as Tatastha Lakshana. Using some indicator, Atman was pointed out. And Satchidananda is Swarupa Lakshana. Directly, nature of Atman is being pointed out now. Let us see what is the answer Bhagwan gives. Atma tarhi kaha, Atma tarhi kaha, Satchidananda Swarupah, Satchidananda Swarupah, Atma tarhi kaha, Satchidananda Swarupah. What is Atma? Atma is Satchidananda Swarupa. Now somebody might ask, oh, Satchidananda means it has like three qualities, Atma is, one of the quality of Atma is Sat, another is Chit, third is Ananda. We say no. Those three are indicators of the same thing. They are not three different things in Atma. Sat itself is called as Chit. Chit itself is called as Ananda. One example that is given to understand that Satchidananda are not three different things or three different Atmas, they are indicators of that same Atma, is this example of a blue lotus. Right? If I say this is a blue, big, and a fragrant lotus. Right? First I said it's a blue, it's a big, well-blossomed, and a fragrant lotus. So now you will ask, are these three different things? Means is there something called as blue lotus? Is there something called as big lotus? And then third thing called as fragrant lotus? We say no. These three are indicators of that one thing. In the same way, just like you said, blue, big, and fragrant, we have Sat, Chit, and Ananda. They're not three different things, but they're indicators of the same Atma Tattva. Now the first one, what is Sat? Sat kim, Kalatrayepi tishtati ti Sat, Kalatrayepi tishtati ti Sat, Sat kim, Kalatrayepi tishtati ti Sat. Tishtati iti becomes tishtati iti. Okay, dirgha becomes there. So first question is, what is Sat? So very simple definition is given because this is an introductory text. That Sat is that which remains the same in all three periods of time, which is unchanging with time. That thing is called as Sat. Kalatraye, in the past it was the same, in the future it is going to be the same, and even right now it is the same. So now you take anything of this creation and then see whether this definition fits in that object. Anything. Look around, whatever you can find. Outside you can look out of your window and find one thing that was there before, that is there right now because I'm seeing it, and that will be there in the future also. You'll find there is no such thing in this Drushya Prapancha. Say, that is exactly where we want you to shift your attention away from. Because this definition does not fit in any worldly thing, he says Sat is that which is beyond this world. Sat is the substratum of this creation, that unchanging substratum in which this change is appearing. Okay. Now, why did we say this is a compromised or a simpler definition? Because this definition of Sat is indicated through time, through Kala. Whereas Kala itself is subject to modification. Right? Kala itself is subject to modification. It is changing. That is why it is a different, a very introductory definition. But later on, the same definition will be more precise. Okay, but for now, we can keep it like this. mainly to take our mind away from those things which are changing with time. So that which is the seer, the witness of this change, that is Sat. That Sat you are. Okay, we should not make Sat another Paroksha Vastu, not another distant object. He says the seer of this change is unchanging. That is this Sat. That is what we call as Atma. Kalatrayapi tishtati iti Sat. Now this definition you can understand in a simpler way, even in our Vyavaharik terms, right? I make a statement right now, whatever that statement is. And at the end of the class, I contradict that statement. Now, what will you say later? What about my first statement? What will you say? Will you say it was Sat, Satyam, or will you say it was Asatyam? You say it is Asatyam because you only contradicted your own statement. Meaning that which has changed with time, we call as Asat, even in our transactional conversations. And if I'm consistent in my statement, consistent in my expressions, we say, that is Satyam, that is truthful. This is just an example, Vyavaharik way how we understand Satyam. He says this Paramartha is also like that. This Sat does not undergo modification, does not change with time. That is the first indicator of Sat. Sat also means that there is something. Because the first three definitions, what we saw, right? Panchakosha atitaha, stula sukshma karana sharirat vyatiriktaha. So in that understanding, I should not develop some vagueness about this truth or have some doubt about this truth. Some idea that, I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it is there or not. So here Upanishads want to point out that it is. There is something, that is what we should inquire. That is who we are. Okay, Sat means that. Next comes Chit. So Sat we generally know the English word is existence. Now it is consciousness. Chit is called as consciousness. Chit kim, jnana swarupaha, Chit kim, jnana swarupaha. What is Chit? What is consciousness? He says jnana swarupaha. Knowledge itself is of the nature of consciousness. What knowledge we are familiar with? I am familiar with knowledge of something, right? Knowledge of this lamp, knowledge of this laptop, knowledge of physics. In that knowledge that is happening, just remove the conditionings. Whatever remains after that is of the nature of knowledge. Okay, in any knowledge that is taking place, first we should notice what conditionings are involved. Now let us say I am seeing this laptop, right? Knowledge of this laptop is taking place. Knowledge in the sense perception. That is our simpler translation of knowledge. Details also I might know, but all of the details are known as perception only, right? So for me to gain knowledge of this laptop, first thing I need is the laptop, right? Object has to be there, eyes have to be there, mind has to be there, and all of them are illumined by this consciousness. He says that is Jnana Swarupa. And they will always appear together. It won't happen that I will be able to have only consciousness at some point, or I have only mind, eyes, and this laptop at some point. He says all these things are deriving their existence from consciousness. Right? So how can you separate them? Vedanta sadhana is to know when both of them are appearing together, or even if both of them are appearing together, having the ability to distinguish Atma from Anatma. Right? This is what we call as Tattva Viveka Prakara. How to distinguish Atma from Anatma, that ability a sadhaka should have. So in knowledge, in any knowledge, being able to separate out consciousness from that conditioned consciousness. In the mind, reflection of consciousness happens. Then that reflection illumines the eyes. Through my eyes, I am seeing the laptop. And I don't always have to remove the laptop, close my eyes, shut my mind down, and then only know that I am consciousness. Right? It is just like saying, if I make pot from clay, every time I want to see clay, I have to break the pot. Then only I know that this is clay. We say no. Jnana Marga is not about breaking or making anything. Jnana Marga is only about knowing a thing as it is. So this is Chit, consciousness, which is my own Swarupa. In every interaction that I am doing, if a sadhaka is able to remember this and make sure that this knowledge translates into Vyavahara, that Mahatma is called as Jivan Mukta. Right? What is Jivan Mukti? Jivan Mukti means having that nishtha in this knowledge and making sure that this knowledge translates into our Vyavahara. Right? That Ananda, which is our nature, which will come next, that I'm able to appreciate. Okay, so what is Chit? Chit is Jnana Swarupa. Then comes the most important one. Remember, all these are indicators of Atma. So what is Atma? Atma is Ananda Swarupa. Oh, what is Ananda? Ananda. Anandah kaha. Anandah kaha. Sukhaswarupaha. Sukhaswarupaha. Evam Satchidananda Swarupam. Evam Satchidananda Swarupam. Swatmanam Vijaniyat. Swatmanam Vijaniyat. Anandah kaha. Sukhaswarupaha. Evam Satchidananda Swarupam. Swatmanam Vijaniyat. Say, what is Ananda? Ananda is that which all of us are seeking day in and day out. Whatever we do in life is because of this quest for Ananda only. And it is said Bhagavan is very compassionate to have kept some Ananda in all mundane things that we do. Starting from brushing our teeth, taking a shower, all of that gives some kind of joy because of which we keep doing that thing. In Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, if this Ananda was not available to a person, nobody would even breathe. Right? Even pranas would not work if this Ananda was not available. But our irony is, we have firm convictions for ourselves that Ananda is different from me. It is not here. It is not there right now. And it is not there in the things which are there with me. Right? Technically, this is called as Desha Paricheda, Kala Paricheda, Vastu Paricheda. But what it means is that Ananda, first of all, I have made it as different from me. And I say that here it is not there. And at this time it is not there. And in these objects it is not there. Only in some objects they are there. And Vedanta wants to tell us that Ananda is our Swarupa. You know, Maharaj used to give a lot of bold statements. It wakes you up, you know. He says, until today, no object, no person no situation has given happiness to anybody. He says Ananda is our nature and it can never come from outside. But I think it is coming from outside. He says that is because we entertain certain desires. And when desire was fulfilled, mind became relatively quiet. And in that relatively quiet mind, this Ananda is available. My own Ananda, not coming from outside world. And if somebody can have Vairagya towards objects, towards things around, and that person knows the nature of Atma, he says this person can enjoy Ananda even more than Brahmaji. In Taittiriya Upanishad, Ananda Mimamsa is done. Okay, there are units of Ananda that are pointed out. First unit of Ananda is called as, and terms which are familiar to us, they are used. Okay, said, let us say there is a young person, very enthusiastic, very well educated, very resourceful, healthy, everything is there, and that person is able to do whatever that person wants. That is one unit of Ananda. And this you keep multiplying 100 times, you go higher and higher, Pitru Ananda, Devata Ananda, Brahmaji's Ananda. You say Brahmananda is greater than all of it. How do I get it? You don't have to get it. Just purify the mind and know your nature to be Ananda. That is why it is said it is Sukha Swarupaha. All sadhanas that we do are for us to get this Ananda, reflected Ananda, without depending upon objects. And there where we have rasa, right? If that sadhana appeals to us, like japa sadhana, right? If somebody has sincerely done it or is trying to do it sincerely, in the beginning, mind doesn't want to do. 5 minutes, it feels, it again and again opens and sees how much is remaining again. So only half is done, half is still remaining. But later on, if somebody does not start the day with japa, then you feel very incomplete. And if you have to wake up just after like half an hour or 15 minutes, then you feel maybe I should find a different time where I can sit a little longer. That thought will come to a sadhaka whose mind has been relatively gotten purified, and that sadhaka is able to taste this Ananda. Next step in Vedanta is to say, you are not experiencer of this Ananda, you are Ananda itself. Right? But for us, at least in between step is purify the mind and then see how can we have Ananda independent of Vishaya. Right? And all our spiritual practices are centered around this point. Now it is up to us whether we appreciate it in that way, or even there we bring something else which will not allow us to enjoy this Ananda. Right? All our pujas that we do, karma yoga, everything is based on this principle. Can I be happy without Vishaya? Okay. This Satchidananda Swarupa, Bhagavan says, we should know, vijaniyat, and know it as your own self. We have known so many things in the world, but if we have not known ourselves, he says all other knowledge will be incomplete. And first erroneous expectation I will have is that this knowledge of the world will make me content. He says our fundamental direction of search is only wrong. Right? If you have to find Sita ji, you have to go in south only. You cannot go north, east, west. Although that will be helpful. That is why Bhagavan sends all Vanaras in different directions. But one who has to find Shanti Videha, Janaka Sutha, Kalyani, they have to go in south direction. So it is up to us where we have been going so far, and after studying Tattva Bodha, after being introduced to Vedanta, where our efforts lie. Right? Vedanta, and if you see that verb, Vijaniyat is said. Vijaniyat means one should know, one ought to know. Means it is not an injunction. Bhagavan is saying we have followed this path and we have reached the goal of absolute bliss. If other sadhakas want to follow, they can consider following this path. So whatever finitude we have included, when that is understood as mithya, what remains is Ananda. Right? That is what we call as Ananda or Ananta. Infinitude itself is of the nature of bliss. That is who I am. Now, as I had mentioned it in one of the classes, that we should not make this Ananda something else and then try to search. Right? I am going to find bliss. Or the term sometimes you are familiar with is self-love. If I am going to do self-love, then who am I? Right? I have to be different from that. And then I am searching for this Atma. So Vedanta says, no, this is the fundamental of Vedanta, that you are Atma. And from yourself, let go of whatever, first of all, let go of the negativities, right? All the thoughts which are there, kama, krodha, those we should let go of. And the final step is let go of even the conditioning, that mind. Then what remains is Ananda Swarupa. After that, even if the conditionings come back, this Ananda Swarupa is unchanged. Okay, that we should remember. That is who we are. Now, in some places, this portion of Tattva Bodha is called as Purvartha, the first half of Tattva Bodha. Then there is a intermission in between. Okay, and after that comes Uttarartha. Why is it said in this way? Because until this point, what we inquired into was called as Tvam Pada Shodhanam. Means inquiring into who am I? What is the nature of this aham that I keep saying as I? And what did we find? That this I is unconditioned. My definition of I could have been Stula Sharira. Vedanta brought us even one level above. It says there is something called as Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, but you are beyond all of this. So that is called as Tvam Pada Shodhanam. Pada means the term. Tvam means in that Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, that term which is called as thou. Right? That is called as Tvam Pada. Shodhanam means enquiry. So Tvam Pada Shodhanam we have completed. Completed studying. Okay. Constant reflection can take several janmas. It depends on our interest, our effort. Not everybody needs to feel that way. How much am I willing to go in that direction? How much effort am I putting? That will decide, nothing else. Now the Uttarartha, the later portion of Tattva Bodha is called as Tat Pada Shodhanam. Means inquiry into nature of creation. Tat Pada Shodhanam. And this is one of the uniqueness of Tattva Bodha. If you generally see Prakarana Grantha, not many Prakarana Granthas will have Tat Pada Vichara. About creation and all, hardly few texts will talk about. For example, Panchadashi chapter 1 has some portion about Tatpada. Vakya Vritti has some portion about Tatpada. In Vivek Chudamani, there are 550 plus shlokas, out of which only 3 shlokas are for Tatpada. Right before Mahavakya comes, Bhagavan just briefly mentions it, and then he moves primarily with Tvam Pada Vichara. And I hope now you're getting familiar with the Sanskrit word. Huh? Simple Sanskrit words they are. Tvam pada, tat pada. Somebody might ask, why should we inquire into creation? I'm so happy, I just inquired into who am I? And I thought everything was relating to me. It spoke about body, mind, how to tune it and everything. You could have just chanted Purnamada and closed the text over here. Why are you now going into vichara about creation? There is some purpose behind it. For us to live our lives, we cannot live in an island. That is a very practical way of looking at this. No man is an island, right? There is a book, I think, with this title. That we cannot live our life by isolating ourselves from everything around us. We will have to interact with people. We will have to interact with objects. In one word, we have to interact with creation. So if I have inquired into nature of I, and I have left outside, or I have not inquired into nature of creation, then whenever I am interacting with creation, I will always feel there is some conflict. In other words, we say, the whole world is working against me, right? And our sensitivity towards nature, towards creation, that sensitivity will not be there unless we have inquired into nature of creation. That's a very practical way of looking at why we need Tatpada Vichara. Another reason is that Vedanta is a darshan. Right? Darshan means it's a school of thought. Very thoroughly everything has been analyzed. So we cannot leave out creation in that analysis. Right? So that is why Srishti Vichara is very important. And I tell you, there is no better logical explanation that you can find for creation than what is given over here. I mean, this is not any Danta Katha. Iti Veda Vadanti na Danta Katha. Right? It is not some cock and bull story that is being portrayed over here. It is Vedic revelations from different Upanishad which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has compiled for all of us. So when we do Tatpada Vichara, first thing what will happen is our devotion in Bhagwan will grow deeper. Yoga sadhana is more Tvampada Pradhana. And Bhakti sadhana is Tatpada Pradhana. And whenever we say Bhagwan, we cannot limit Bhagwan to a very small name and form. We can worship through that name and form, but Bhagwan's form is totality. What is that totality? How has it come about? What all things happened in this process of creation? And most importantly, I see this body, this mind. What is my relationship with this creation? Am I different from it? Or do we have anything in common? So all these points will be discussed. And because it is apurvata, right, uniqueness of Tattvabodha, we will take our time, right, to see this over here. So I'm already out of time today. We'll continue in the next session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. I saw that there was one question about how do you reconcile, especially in this pandemic, when there are something that should be done but don't get done in some way in India, in general. The best thing I have understood for myself is this is where spirit of Karma Yoga becomes the most important siddhanta to hold on to, which means our role is to only guide and tell, right? Especially our loved ones who are in India, and do it with lot of love. After that, how they do it, what they do is a very different matter. And also, I think what needs more support right now is our mind, right? That this mind alone takes different turns. So that is what we should keep doing, right? First, make sure that our mind is strong. We take support of our sadhana, our devotion in Bhagavan. And with that, keep doing whatever we have to do. Why things are not done in some way, there is no explanation for this. Because mind, you cannot have any explanation, right? So our duty is, we should make sure that we are following whatever guidance is given, health-wise and even sadhana-wise. Both of it, very much we should follow. Some questions we can take maybe here. Can one go in Sushupti during meditation or Samadhi? Can one go in Sushupti during meditation or Samadhi? This is actually Anubhava Siddha. Means we don't have to ask somebody. We should see for ourselves, right? When we sit for meditation, do we fall asleep or not? So while falling asleep, if you are not dreaming and you felt you had a very good meditation, that means you went into Sushupti Avastha. But most importantly, there is a difference between Sushupti Avastha and Nididhyasanam. Right? First of all, Sushupti is effortless. We don't have to do any sadhana to go into deep sleep. Whereas meditation is not something which will automatically happen. Right? For meditation, first we have to do thorough Shravanam. And with that, when we are able to hold on to the nature of Atma, just contemplate on that continuously, that is what we call as Nididhyasanam. And Samadhi is a natural result of it, when by contemplating upon nature of Atma, even perception of Anatma is not having any space to enter. Because constantly, the thought one after the another is about nature of Atma only. Right? Anything that we think about, there is one thought that comes. Following that is another thought. Now that second thought, if it is of the same object, then it seems as though it is one stream of thought. But in between, there is some other thing that is coming in between. So then it's a broken contemplation. So that is the difference. That one is, it is effortless, another one needs effort. And even in that effort, what we are doing is constantly meditating upon nature of Atma. Right? You can take any indicator that we saw in Tattva Bodha also. It is the same. We don't have to get some other indicator. If vasanas make up causal body and vasanas cause mental agitations also, then how do you say Anandamaya Kosha belongs to causal body? Because Anandamaya Kosha is bliss sheath. True. It looks like a contradiction. On one side you say Vasana is belonging to Anandamaya Kosha, which has only Ananda. And on the other side you are saying that Vasanas are giving rise to mental agitations. So that is why, first of all, the word Vasana, we should not always connotate it with a negative Vasana. What gives mental agitation is only Ashubha Vasana. Right? Ashubha Vasana gives Vikshepa, mental agitation. Shubha Vasanas will give very pleasing thoughts. That also is part of Vasana only. This desire to come to this class, desire to study Vedanta, desire to do Nididhyasanam, that also is Vasana. It is not something else that is coming in. It is that Vasana only, but that is Shubha Vasana. Right? So both we should understand. And when we say it is Anandamaya, it is because all the vasanas are unmanifest right now. Shubha vasanas are also unmanifest, Ashubha vasanas are also unmanifest. And in particular, Ashubha vasanas are the ones that will be, or that we need to be very careful about. It might be bliss in that state, but later on, it is not something that will continue. Right? It's like sitting on an unexploded volcano. Right? Moment it triggers, that is when we see the effect. So Anandamaya Kosha, when we say it is of the nature of bliss, it is because these vasanas have become unmanifest in that state. Okay, I think that is good. And other questions, we will take it next time. But I hope everyone remains safe and we also derive inner strength, right, to become support for those who are going through these difficult times. Okay, invoke Bhagwan's grace. We keep praying to him for support. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.